I'm Shelly Turner with the Builderall team. In this video, we're going to go over how to get someone to subscribe to one list, and when they subscribe to a second list, they'll be unsubscribed from the first list. Now, why would you want to do this? Sometimes you may have multiple lists, and you want to stop a person from getting a certain email sequence when you add them to the next list because they're going to get a different set of emails. So let's go ahead and jump in and work on our workflow and get it ready so we can set all this up. So I'm logged into Mailing Boss, and I'm going to go to Workflow right here at the top. And on Workflow, I'm going to create a new workflow. And when I create the new workflow, I'm going to go ahead and pull in two lists. So I'm going to click on List and drag it over, and then click on Lists and drag it over. So I've got two new lists, and I'm going to click Save. And now from here, I'm going to go ahead and set up my list. So on the first one, I'm going to click the Edit button, and I'm going to create a new list. And I named it Test List Number 1. And I'll put that as the display name and the description. And then for testing purposes, I'm going to choose a single opt-in. That makes it a lot easier when we're testing. And then Create. And then OK. So now I've created my list for Test List Number 1. Now I'm going to create Test List Number 2 by clicking the little icon. And I'm going to create a new list, and I named this one Test List Number 2, and again we'll make it single opt-in to make it easier for testing purposes, and then Create. So now I've got two lists that are created, and remember what we're wanting to do. We want to subscribe to the first list, and then when we subscribe to the second list, we want the first list unsubscribed. So I need to make a rule on this second list. To do that, I'm going to click the arrow. Now the arrow means if they subscribe to this list, I want this to happen. So when I click the arrow, it tells me what all I can make happen. So if they subscribe, I can unsubscribe from another list. I can tag them. I can send them a specific email, single email, or I can send them a specific email sequence. For this video, we're going to learn how to unsubscribe a user. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. And now I choose the list that I want them unsubscribed from. So I just click the down arrow, and I want them unsubscribed from Test List Number 1, so I'm going to click that, and then click OK. And now it's really important to remember that you save after you're done. And now everything is saved. Let's go back over and make sure we know exactly what's happening. I'm going to go ahead and subscribe Batman to list number 1. Then I'm going to go in and subscribe Batman again to list number 2. When he gets added to list number 2, he's going to be unsubscribed from list number 1. What does that mean, unsubscribed? Well, he'll go in as confirmed. So he gets every single email that I have set up for test list number 1. But once I change him to unsubscribe, he won't get any more emails from test list number 1. If there's any email sequences attached, he won't get them. But he will start getting the emails from test list number 2. So now that we've set this workflow up, the next step that we have to do is set it up in our website in the editor. So let's go ahead and jump into the editor and do the setup that we need to do there. So now we're in the editor, and all I've done is pulled out an email form. I pulled one with the orange button and the other one with the green button. It's very simple. Nothing's attached yet. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to go to Configure. And we're going to connect this to the Mailing Boss Test List Number 1. And then I'm going to right click the second one and Configure and connect it to Test List Number 2. And in each of those lists, the only field set up is the email field, but that's all we need, so everything will work out perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and click Save and Save again. And now that I've set everything up in Mailing Boss and I've connected my forms to Mailing Boss so that the subscriber goes into the correct subscriber list, let's go ahead and go to the live website, and we will put in our addresses, our email address, and let's watch what happens. So I've hit refresh, and this is the live website, and I'm going to start off with putting in Batman as the email. So batman@brucewayne.com. So we're going to click Add to List Number 1, and it looks like he's been added, but let's jump into Mailing Boss and make absolutely sure. So I'm back in Mailing Boss, and I'm going to go back to the main dashboard, and I'm going to go to Lists and Lists again. And right here is Test List Number 1, and you can see I've got one new subscriber. So let's look at who that is. So I'm going to click the subscriber icon. And there he is, Bruce Wayne, or Batman, and he's listed as confirmed. So if I had an email sequence attached to this list, he would start getting those emails. Now let's go back to the live website and put the same exact email address in the second opt-in form and see what happens. So I'm back at the live website and I put that same email in the second opt-in form, and I'm going to click the add to list number 2. So remember, he's going to be added to list number 2, but he's going to be unsubscribed from list number 1 based on the rule that we set inside workflow. So let me go ahead and click that button. And I got the confirmation that he's been added to the list. So now let's check in Mailing Boss and see exactly what happened. So I'm back in Mailing Boss and I have to refresh. This is test list number 1. He's still showing as confirmed, but I have to refresh the screen to see any new information. So let me hit refresh. And now Batman is showing as unsubscribed on test list number 1. So let's check test list number 2 and see if he's subscribed. So I'm going to go to lists and then lists again. And here's test list number 2. I've got 1 subscriber. I'm going to click the subscriber icon and you'll see that he is on that list and he is confirmed. So we were able to add him to list number 1, and then we added him to list number 2. At the same time he was added to list number 2, he was unsubscribed from list number 1. Now remember, for testing, I had both opt-in forms on the same page. You wouldn't do that. You would put those opt-in forms on different pages, maybe even completely different websites or different funnels. Because the object is to start to learn how to manage and organize your subscribers, which means you may have to juggle some subscribers sometimes to move them or unsubscribe them from specific lists so you don't double up on emails or send very different emails from 2 different lists. So that's how you kind of juggle subscribers inside of workflows in Mailing Boss.